Hello, hello, hello. How goes it? Right now I'm having an image crisis here. I've got an image popping up, sitting weird on my screen, and it's off the screen, and I can't figure out how to get it back onto the screen correctly. Yep, not working. Don't know why, but it's driving me bonkers. We'll just turn it off for now. All right, so today, final module, final exercise of Hazy 204 training course through Coursera. It's been an adventure, to say the least. I have been struggling because Azure in its current state is not in sync with Azure in the state at which these exercises were designed for. So I've had a great deal of having to work around, tweak, adjust, find other solutions, approach the same solution in a different manner. And ultimately, I've been able to get through all of them, though. I was able to get every single exercise to work. Maybe not exactly the way they did it, because like I said, I had to make some workarounds. But ultimately, got everything to work. So, if you're doing the Azure 204 course through Coursera, and it's this one, because I don't know, probably different classes, different people, I don't know. Check out these streams if you're looking for solutions. I hope to go back and edit some of them, cut out a lot of the mess that was me trying to figure stuff out, which is what this stream's about. And then maybe I'll upload those edited videos to YouTube as their own separate video. But yeah, some of them are long videos though, so I'm gonna have to go through and cut a lot of junk out because the tasks are like 15-20 minutes. So in theory, if I cut out everything and got it down to just getting it done, these would be pretty simple tasks. Some of them may be a little longer, but ultimately, nothing here is all that long if everything works as expected. I would have been done with this 2 weeks ago, at least, if everything worked according to my expectations. But alas, here we are. Okay, so this is the final one. We're testing the order details function first. You can use the Cloud Shell defined by Microsoft here, and but you can't. It's weird because I think if you use this Cloud Shell, it creates a sandbox if you have an account already. And it does use a slightly different version of Azure. Like it's an old version. Like they actually saved the old version. So maybe that's why their stuff works, because it doesn't work in the current. So basically, if you do it using this Cloud Shell, it probably will work and you'll probably get through it, and then you'll go out to go do it in the real world and you won't be able to figure out how to do it because it won't be the same. There will be some things in there that don't work, some things that don't work the way that it shows. You'll be trying to find certain menus and items that don't exist because it's using an older version of Cloud of Azure. So yeah, it's I would recommend trying to figure it out yourself, or maybe using my streams as a guide. If you can, you'd have to do a lot of fast forwarding through to find out how I actually ultimately solve things, but it's there. It's there. Okay, so let's get on with the task. So we're just basically going through first step here is opening up the order functions, the order details function within the order functions application that you created, that I created on yesterday's piece, or was that the day before? I may not even have uploaded yesterday's piece, but this was created already and I was done. I probably should upload that piece, and you can find it on YouTube. I'll upload that today so that you can see how I got to the point of having order details function and the test that I did as the first exercise. I think I did that one offline because I was kind of scattered doing a lot of stuff and I didn't know how long I'd have, and so I had to come back to it. Okay, so In the order details, we're going to go to code test, which is where we're at. We can go to test run. On the command bar, select test run. The input parameters tab for the orders function appears. In the HTTP method field, select get. Drop down list and under query, select add parameter, which over here. And in the name field, enter name. And for value, we will enter Chiba. Case sensitive, so make sure you enter it correctly and select run. Now this might not work if the same problem I got yesterday. It is same problem I got yesterday. So each function app has to have this cores thing turned on. And when I was working yesterday, all we did was test on product details. We did not test on order details. So you got to turn this little nibbly on. Got to tell what path you're going to allow. You got to hit. Can't have any extra spaces on the end, or at the beginning. And then you can hit save. Now, this shows it as successful. Yesterday, it would not work immediately. So we'll see if this does anything. What I might have to do is go back all the way out here and refresh this. I don't know. It's like I had some issues with getting it to trigger the first time I did it with the other app. So hopefully this will get us there. It might not work. Like I said, last time it took me a couple tries. It was stubborn that way. Yeah, see, it doesn't want to work right away. When it does finally work, it's like, I can't guarantee when it'll work because I was like, this ain't working, this ain't working, this ain't working. Oh, wait, what? It finally worked. And I didn't know why it worked. So all I can do is wait. I don't know. I don't really know the solution because you select on here. Of course, now it shows there. It's got the very line it says to put in there, and I've got it enabled to allow this, but it's not working. So this is an Azure thing, I guess. I'll go here. I'll try it again. Just like I said, all I did last time was keep trying, figure out what was going on. Eventually, it actually functioned. Let's see here. Test run, input, get, query, Chiba, run. See? I wonder. Portal. I wonder if I go back here. Go to yeah, it's there. There's not much I can do except wait. I mean, there's no other solution because I never figured it out. It just suddenly started working after failing a bunch of time. Whoops. I was trying to go get the error again. Thought I copied it. See here, order functions. I'm Trying to figure out why. But the amazing thing is when this created it through a script, it actually generated correctly. I don't know how I did that. Haha, see? In time. It works. Patience, man. Patience, all I got for you. You make that change, close out some windows, make it reload everything, and hopefully things will fire. That's all I got for you. I don't know why it's such a turd, but it does take about 5 minutes, it seems, to actually work. Even though it says it configured it, it might not. Okay, so optionally, you can run requests using the same Henry and Berryclo. I should be able to go back here and type in Henry Pascal, customer relation, Henry. Okay, so yeah, and click close. And on the command bar of the order details menu, select get function URL. And we will take the default because that's usually what we want. Oh, well, I guess you're not taking it. They're just showing you that it has Azure, AzureWebsites.net. In this step, we add the order function to the API management resource. Now, I created that yesterday. That was what I created for the product details. Now we're adding a second item. So I'll do that. And again, I will upload the other video today. So it should be available to you soon once I'm finished with this, I'll finish cleaning that one up and I'll upload it to YouTube. That one will be a lot shorter because I'm cutting out all the extra stuff. I'm trying to anyway. Okay, so here we navigate to the API management instance through the Azure portal resource just to demonstrate that both approaches are available. On Azure resource menu from the home page, select all resources. We'll go back here. We're going to go to see all. Sort the type, and then select the online store, which I actually just called, I think it was AMG something, because I'm difficult. So, oh, it's probably not here, because, of course. Why is it showing me recent? I don't want to see recent. I want to see all. There we go. So there's recent and then there's all recent apparently. Okay, so go back here. We can go here and online, AMG online APIM. This is probably my item here. So the API management service for the online store pairs. Okay, so yeah. API management service online service in the menu under APIs. Select APIs. Under create from Azure resource, select function app. To select your function app, select browse. On the configure required setting field, select All right, I think that's it. Browse, import Azure functions, computer on computer. Wish I could close this. Select Azure function. Select order function. Ensure the order details is checked. It is. Then create page select to create from function dialog appears. Replace the value in API URL suffix. With orders. I'm trying to decide if I want to change these display names. I know it doesn't do it, but I hate these names. It's like, no, don't torture me with those. I'm gonna screw it. I don't know what the difference here, but I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'll do that. And then click create. I just don't like all the numbers and junk if I don't have to have them. I mean, unless they have to be uniquely named, I'm going to go with not having them in there. All right, now that we added order details to our API, let's test it by using the API management tools in the Azure portal. On the order API detail, okay, so we're going to go back here. Close this up. I really wish I could make that go away. On the order function, under all operations, select get order details. All right, we're on get order details, and in the query, probably need to click test. Because it says test. It says test tab. Yeah, maybe. All right, so we're going to go here and go add parameter. And we're going to say name. Value. Chiba. And select send. There we go. Yuki Chiba. Total 442, 5 false. So we got our new one on here. So now we've got 2 that work. Because I know product function, this one. I should have changed its name too, but I didn't. So I just did what they said and changed orders. Test the combined API. Okay, so now we're going to, in the Azure resource menu or from home, select all resources. And let's see, sort by type and select the online API management store. Didn't I just do this? The API management service for online store appears. Okay, that's where I was just at, I thought. In the essentials section, hover over the gateway URL and select copy to clipboard. Gateway URL, that must be this one, okay. And in the Azure Cloud Shell to the right, let's define some variables. Azure Cloud Shell to the right. Oh, this guy. Run the following command. Well, let's wait till it actually finishes loading. Replacing paste URL here with the URL value. Okay. Gateway underscore URL equals okay, that is totally different. That's it. That's the command. All right. Guess it worked. Okay, in Azure on the online store API management service menu, scroll down to API. So go back here and select subscriptions. The subscriptions pane appears for your online API management service. The built-in all access subscription, select the ellipsis on the far right of that row and then select show hide keys. There's an ellipsis over here. Actually, regenerate key. I don't see show hide key. That's not an option. Oh, there it is. Show hide keys. All right, it's at the very top. Okay. Okay. In the primary key field, select copy to clipboard. Primary key, copy to clipboard. And Cloud Shell run the following. Okay, we got sub key equals okay. And now what? Press enter. Okay, now we can request details of an order and a product by querying the same API management service. To request details for a customer named Henry, follow the command, run the following command shell. Okay. So we have to provide not only the name, but we also have to tell it what so we basically created variables within our bash environment, and it's just using those. We got sub key. Interestingly enough, it has a gateway URL. So yeah, okay. I don't know. Apparently you have to have that stuff on there. And there we go. Pascal, Henry Pascal. It's all good. To request the details of a product, we do the same thing. We hit copy. I don't know why it's doing it on a different line here, but we can go paste. And this is ID 2. And there you go. There's my camera, home security camera. Yay me. All right. To request the details of the product, we did that. The response contains JSON. Notice that both the functions can now be called through endpoints within the Azure API.net domain as defined by the gateway, which is the domain used by Azure API Management. In other Learn modules, you can learn how to apply policies, security settings, external caches, and other features to function in an API management gateway. A gateway provides you with a central control point where you can manage multiple microservices without altering their code. So, yeah, that's it, man. That's it. When I hit there, we can go to the summary. We're going to have summary. We're going to have cleanup. In this module, you publish a serverless API with 2 functions. This approach enables you to clean up. The sandbox automatically cleans up your resources, but if when you're working in your own subscription, that means we've got to delete this stuff ourselves. You can delete resources individual or delete the resource group to delete the entire set of resources. So we're going to go to finish. Complete module. We are done, man. We are done with that. Now we can go over to, so let's go clean up my resources. This will save me some pain in the future. So these are cool. I'm going to say it's now seeing it all shape up in my mind. And now we can kind of go, oh, hey, I know. Now I've kind of connected API management to functions. So if you can create some cool functions, then you can call them with these API endpoints. And slowly but surely, we're starting to see how this stuff all comes together and becomes a useful tool. Now, to say I've got this down, like if I were to go to a job right now and they said, create me API, an APIM with 3 function apps, I'd be like, I could create the function apps pretty quick because I've done it a half dozen times here. The APIM thing, I'd probably flutter through. I'd go reference my videos and go step through, how do I get this done quickly? So that's maybe another reason to edit them, so I can get all my junk out of there and make it easy for me to look back into the past and find my own videos on how to do this. So, and hopefully at some point they will help you. Some of the same problems will probably occur for you that I ran into, and I will try to keep those in there just so that people can kind of see that it was, important steps. As in the video I did yesterday where things weren't working, I actually went through steps, and then when I edited the video, I actually kept the stuff that wasn't working, shown where it blew up, and then how I went about going about and just using my own subscription because the sandbox wasn't working right either. And I just said, okay, don't like it, gonna go do it my own way. And ultimately got it working. So there you go. That's it, man. The only thing left for me to accomplish now, for my purposes, mark this complete. Go to the next item. Did you do it? Yes, I did. And I will say, I understand that you want me to do this. And I go to next. And then I say, knowledge check. This is it, man. We are on the home stretch, running down that last 100 meters. Let's go check out the knowledge check for this period. Let's see how good I can do. I actually did pretty poorly yesterday. I got 40%. Had to review a couple of items on the last one, and then I was able to get 100%. But it's a good thing it lets you retake them, right? Let's go study. What did I do wrong? In order to unlock the potential of their data services, to which type of developers can organizations publish APIs with the help of Azure API management? Partner developers, internal developers, external developers. I would imagine you could send it to anybody, right? I mean, that's the whole point. To be able to let other people work on your APIs for you, and then you just kind of attach them. That's my thought. True or false? Azure API management is a fully managed cloud service that you can use to publish, secure, transform, maintain, and monitor APIs. Yes. Which consumption tier of Azure consumption tier is the best? It does actually say use consumption tier. It's ideal for this, especially suited. In what ways can the Azure API management service help an organization? It can help with securing APIs, monitoring APIs, developing APIs. You can certainly publish them. I don't know if they're great for developing APIs because you're really not. I mean, you're creating them, right? You develop them on the side, but this will allow you to publish them, secure them, and monitor them. I wouldn't imagine. Which data format should you use if you want to define Azure API management policies? Well, we were using JSON. That was what this stuff was. All right, I understand. Let's see how close I came. I feel pretty good about my answers. This one could be wrong, I suppose, if it actually says it's helping with development. Let's see what happens. 80. So I missed one. Yeah, let's see. I was right about all these, right about all those, right about that. And I was right about the 3 of those. And no, what is it? XML? Is it XML? Which data format should you use if you want to define Azure API management policies? Well, it's got to be XML, because you don't use policy. If it ain't JSON, it's XML. I mean, that's all there is to it. Yeah, it's got to be XML. So I would say, because who's going to use HTML for data anything? JSON's data, XML can be data, HTML is not data. It might show your data, and that's only with JavaScript and everything else involved, but it's going to probably be XML. I will save these answers just because right now they're fresh in my mind, but ultimately, they may not be in the future. So I don't keep the numbers. It's kind of silly to keep the numbers, right? Or even the points awarded for them, because I think you're allowed to retake the test if you want to, just to make sure you go get the right answer. Like I could go here and say, yeah. I think I could go knowledge check and try again. Just because I think I can get it all right. So it's this one, this one, this one, true. And it's consumption tier. And then it's everything but develop, publish, secure, and monitor. And this is probably XML. Yep, that was it, 100%. Okay, so it is in fact XML is the appropriate data to format, define Azure. All right, now we are officially able to move on. Now it's going to say, did you do it? Or is it actually a test? Oh, this is test prep. 7. Okay, so this is your knowledge check test prep. Again, this is actually stuff that's going to be on the test. In theory, some format, some way. You're creating an Azure API management service for your production API. Now, keep in mind, I'd be willing to bet there's like 150 questions for this Azure developer certification. On the test, will probably be about half that, or a little less. But they mix them up, they mix the order up. I mean, you can't really memorize all of them, but you can take a practice test. Usually, if you can find a practice test for it, you can take the practice test as many times as you want, and then you can keep saying, give me the ones I got wrong, give me the ones I haven't tried, give me all the ones, you know, that haven't been on the last 5 times I took the test. There's a lot of cool little ways to mix up your tests to make sure that you're reviewing and testing and getting them all. And eventually, if you're getting an average of 100%, you will, probably 90 to 100% will give you a pretty good chance, because you have to pass with an 80% to get the certification. You are creating an Azure API manager. I think ultimately I got, when I took the fundamentals, which was just a terrible class, I'm telling you, it was pointless for a developer. It's like if I want to be a marketer of Azure, they give you a lot of stuff and then it's like you'll never use, and I've forgotten a lot of that stuff. You are creating an Azure API management service for your production API. The API is expected to be executed 1 million times per month. Whoa, that's a lot. The usage pattern of the API varies every day. You need to scale the Azure API management service based on the API usage. Keeping cost minimal is also a priority. Which tier? Oh, it's consumption, right? Isn't that the whole point? Used for API management service. 1 million times is a lot of times, though. It's a lot of times. But it does say API management services are best with consumption. A web service provides customers summary information for e-commerce partners. The web service is implemented as an Azure Function app with HTTP trigger. Access to the API is provided by an Azure APIM instance. The API management instance is configured in consumption plan mode. All API calls are authenticated by using OAuth. API calls must be cached. Customers must not be able to view cached data for the other customers. You need to configure API management policies for caching. How should you complete the policy statement? Sheesh. Select all options that apply. They did not go over this at all. They just threw in some questions because they're on the test. This was not a thing. I'm pretty sure I never saw this. Select all options that apply. Vary by header authentication. You need to configure. See, watching somebody take a test has got to be fun, right? It's like you're cheating. You're following my answers. But don't get this. This is not on the test. I mean, this won't be on like this. So it's not like you're watching me take the test. So you're just watching me take a practice sample piece of the test. I actually do not know the answer to this question. I'm telling you right now. Caching type internal. Well, that makes sense. Downstream caching type equals public. No. No. How about authentication? Vary by header authentication. Vary by header equals authorization. Well, you can't be both, right? I mean, you can't both equal authentication and equal authorization. Right? I don't know. You can't be two things. I guess that's not true. Some things that you do that. Downstream caching type is public. They don't really have a downstream caching type. All right, I'm leaving it. We'll see what happens. You provide an Azure API management. Managed web service to clients. The back-end web service implements HTTP strict transportation security. Every request to the back-end service must include a valid HTTP authorization header. You know what? See, vary by authorization. I'm going to do this one instead. You need to configure APIM instance with an authentication policy. Which two policies can you use? Well, this doesn't even mention OAuth. Basic authentication, digest authentication. I don't know, basic authentication. I got a friend who needs a ride. Let's see if I can help him out here. Hold on. Let me go see. Let's go see what I can do to help him out here. Just a moment. Let's finish the test. By the way, the time is usually about 45 minutes on a certification test, but I imagine it has to do with the size of the test. So if it's a big test, they might give you more time, but the fundamentals test was 45 minutes. All right, so you are planning to publish APIs for your clients by using Azure APM. You need to restrict incoming requests from specified IP addresses. Which policy should you configure? Restrict caller IPs, restrict incoming IPs. That seems like a good one. It could be caller IPs. It's the one that's calling. I don't know if it's incoming or caller, but it's probably caller IPs. That sounds more like the kind of name. You are developing a solution that also makes use of Azure storage services. You plan on implementing a setting that will only allow requests to storage service that are incoming from https contoso.net. What do you need to implement to ensure this? Implement a policy on the storage service that will allow the https contoso.net address. So this is where you would adjust CORS, implement a CORS rule. This is one I ran into because it kept telling me you have to set this. So yeah, this was definitely something I had to deal with in order for incoming calls. You are developing a solution that will need to ensure two-way communication between client and server. You make use of Signal R. You are aware that some clients will not support HTML5. What should you do? Nothing. Signal R will manage this automatically. Actually, that's true. Signal R is actually pretty good about, that's the whole thing about Signal R. It adjusts for the level of whoever's getting this stuff. Signal R does not support older clients. Wrong. I already know that one. It supports, that's the whole thing. It supports both new and old. So there's at least 4 there that I think I'm guaranteed to be right. Question is, how did I do on the rest? So we're going to find out. Am I passing? No. Boo me. Did not pass. Got the first one right. This is correct. Very ahead of us. Okay, so if I take this out, I'm good. Caching type internals. All I need is vary by header authorization. I actually got that one right, and I actually got that from the next one. Select all that apply. So did I only get one wrong? Because it doesn't say. So if I go in there and not select this, will it be correct? It doesn't say I need more. I may have to go back and review these. It says that they do exist, but we'll find out. This is correct. That one's not. So I was 50-50 on those. What is it? Again, this is probably caller IPs instead of incoming. I thought syntactically, but the rest I got right. Okay, and these ones I actually I was sure of, pretty sure of. So the 3 I missed were the 3 I was least sure of. So yeah, all right. So let's go back. Got to review. Let's make sure I can pass this sucker. And I'll take this guy over here. All right, let's see what it says. It says go review. Go review, buddy. You don't know what you're doing yet. Reviewing the benefits of using Azure Management. Analyze. Now this one is a full module one, so this might actually be all the way back to the previous module. Benefits of using Azure API Management. right, so let's go back to the beginning of Module 6. Well, it doesn't. Oh, here it is, benefits. All right, so yeah, let's see here. What's the question? A web service provides customer service information for e-commerce. The web service is implemented as an Azure Function app with HTTP trigger. API calls must be cached. All right, well, let's see here. What do we got?
This division fits well with modern agile practices. However, microservices architectures can also present challenges, such as client apps are coupled to microservices. If you want to change the location or definition of the microservice, you may have to reconfigure or update the client app. Each microservice may be presented under different domain names or IP addresses. This presentation can give an impression of inconsistency to users and can negatively affect your branding. It can be difficult to enforce consistent API rules and standards across all microservices. For example, one team may prefer to respond with XML and another may prefer JSON. Finally, you're reliant on individual teams to implement security in their microservice correctly. It's difficult to impose these requirements centrally. By adding multiple APIs, functions, and other services to API management, you can assemble those components into an integrated product that presents a single entry point to client applications. Composing an API using API management has advantages. Client apps are coupled to the API expressing business logic, not the underlying technical implementation with individual microservices. You can change the location and definition of the services.
I'm looking for the answer to my question.
Or updating the client apps. API management acts as an intermediary. It forwards requests to the right microservice wherever it is located and returns responses to users. Users never see the different URIs where microservices are hosted. You can use API management policies to enforce consistent rules on all microservices in the product. For example, you can transform all XML responses into JSON if that is your preferred format. Finally, policies also enable you to enforce consistent security requirements. API management also includes helpful tools. You can test each microservice and its operations to ensure that they behave in accordance with your requirements. You can also monitor the behavior and performance of deployed services. Azure API Management supports importing Azure Functions apps as new APIs or appending them to existing APIs. The process automatically generates a host key in the Azure Function app, which is then assigned to
This
a named
does
value in
not
Azure API
appear
Management.
to be talking at all. This doesn't talk at all about these things. Look. Whoops. So, the header isn't even a mention. They say go review this, but there's actually no lecture video, subtitles, transcript. The benefits of using Azure API Management to compose. See, she doesn't actually talk at all about the security types. API. Let's try this. Policy. Enforce consistent rules on all Microsoft products. It just tells you you can do stuff. It doesn't tell you what stuff to do. It's like, okay, benefits to compose your API. It should be here. Is there actually any reading here? There's no actual reading here. Azure Functions, API Management Documentation. Maybe this is a thing. If I go here, open link, a new tab, where does it take me? Training, import, publish, first transform, common tasks. How to import API from Azure Open API. Reference, API management policy reference. So, I mean, this stuff wasn't actually in the class. This is on Microsoft Learn, so they just pointed you over here. But yeah, so trying to figure out this answer, API authentication and authorization. Other API components have separate mechanisms to secure and restrict. For management, Azure control, role-based access, the API management developer support several options to facilitate secure sign-off. Authentication versus authorization. Here's a brief explanation. OAuth 2.0, OAuth flow, authorization scenarios and API. Client app authorizes directly to backend. All right, a common authorization scenario is when a client application requests access to direct API. An authorization header to gateway. Azure API management then acts as a transparent proxy between the caller and backend. The following image shows an image where Microsoft enters the authorization provider. Although the access token sent along with HTTP request is intended for the backend, API manager still allows for a defense in-depth approach. For example, configure policy to validate the JWT, rejecting requests that arrive without a token or a token that's not valid for intended backend API. You can also configure API manager to check other claims of interest extracted from the token. Protect an API. So that one's correct. That one is not, so we know that. Is there a caching thing here? Nope. Let's see. Use an external cache. Azure cache lookup value. Use an external Redis compatible cache in Azure API management. Applies to all API management tiers. Avoid having your cache periodically cleared during API management updates. Have more control over your cache configuration. Cache more data than your API management tier allows. Use caching with consumption tier of API management. Enable caching the API management of self-hosted gateways. To complete this tutorial, you need to create an Azure API management instance. Create Azure cache for Redis. Follow the steps. Use for setting. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. Is it really anything but just vary by header? The web service is implemented as Azure function. API management instance. The API management instance is configured consumption plan. All API calls are authenticated by using OAuth. API calls must be cached. Customers must not be able to view cache data for other customers. You need to caching type. Use an external cache. Add an Azure. Use the external cache. After adding Redis compatible cache, configure caching policies to enable response caching or caching of values by key in the external cache. This doesn't look like that's relevant. But caching type external might be a thing. You just definitely want it to be on their own page, I guess. Now, OAuth is not part of this thing. Which two policies can you use? So basic and certificate policy, I think. All right, let's try this again. Wait, no. I got that one I'm going to try. I think I know a solution. And I think this is caller IPs. All right, so let's try it again. Can I do worse? Yes, I can mess up something else. So it's authorization. And I'm going to say caching type external. And then we're going to go down here and we're saying which two policies can you use? It's going to be basic, and I'm going to go with certificate. And then can you publish APIs? Which policy should you configure? We're going to say caller IPs. Let's just say restrict. And I was going to do a quick review on this one because it doesn't actually state restrict. Configure Azure Files Network, restrict inter-service communications. Use Azure Service Principles of Azure Disk Management, restrict access using a service endpoint, Azure Container Registry. Restrict import access to manage disk, connect errors after restricting egress. On-premises resource, a service endpoint allows you to secure your container's registry public IP address to only your virtual network. It's not really what I'm looking for. All right, we're going to go. All right, so this is a CORS rule. Hopefully I didn't get them all wrong again. You know, like they're all multiple choice, except for this one. Well, all multiple choice, yes. This is multiple selections. Multiple selections, historically, are the hardest. I mean, for every test, right? Because it's like, oh, well, you got it wrong if you get 3 out of 4 correct. It's still wrong. Bam. Bam, bam, bam. 100%, man. I am the master. I have moved on. I am now complete. I am now ready to be the ruler of all Azure. All right, so I am going to copy these questions. I like to copy them, put them in my study guide, my study location, which is basically my OneNote. And now these are some. There are a lot of these take up a lot of space, so I'm pretty much just zipping through here. Put them in my study guide for later. So now the big thing is, I am done. I'm done with all the learning that this class has to offer me. And now I need to start studying for the actual certification test. So we're going to continue on. Let it tell me I'm done. Let's, I don't know, say fine. Yeah. And now we're going to say lesson summary.
In this module, you published a serverless API with 2 Azure Functions apps in an instance of Azure API Management. This approach enables you to implement a microservices architecture by coding Azure functions as serverless components. API management assembles these microservices into a single API product using a single URL, all while generating consistent behavior imposed by using API management policies. And finally, a word on cleanup.
Finally, a word on cleanup. Why not?
Your resources when you're finished with this lesson.
I do need to
When you're
delete all
working
that
in your own
stuff.
subscription, it's a good idea at the end of a project to identify whether you still need the resources you created. Resources left running can cost you money. You can
All right,
delete
so
resources
let's-
individually or delete the resource group to delete the entire set of resources. For detailed steps on how to delete Azure resources, please refer to the reading at the end of this module.
It's not that hard. Not that hard. Okay, so really I just need to go in here and basically I just select everything. I don't need any of this. Really, I could probably just clear everything out of here because all of this is just class stuff. I don't even know what I'm going to use. Really, what you got to get rid of is the storage accounts because they're the ones that seem to take up a lot of your. They're the ones that charge you. So you could keep stuff if you want examples. I'm going to keep the Signal R stuff because it's interesting. I hope that that won't cause me anything. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think I need anything here. I'm just going to delete it all. If it don't work, then I'll just have to start from scratch. But I need to avoid charges. I need to avoid being charged. A word on cleanup. Delete everything that you don't need. I am shocked. I will tell you, I am shocked. I was working at my last company, and they had so many objects. So very many objects in their Azure. They had them in other places. They had multiple subscriptions. They had objects everywhere, and they weren't using a lot of them. And there's a ton of things that you could have in there. Now, some stuff is free, right? But they're a business. They have the desired. They had millions of dollars, or I don't know how much they were spending on Azure, but they had a lot of money going into Azure, and they were trying to watch their pennies, and yet they had so many tons of objects in there. And I'm like, why? Why are you're so worried about money, and yet you leave dead objects everywhere? It was not pretty. But ultimately, hey, whatever. They got rid of me. What do they care about me? My opinion. And at the time, I was like, this is just a cluttered mess to even get through. I don't know how that works. And now I definitely see how you got to be careful because Azure charges you for everything. So be careful. Consumption is a good way to go. If you don't use it, it can just sit there and everything's fine. But just be careful because some things don't just sit. They charge you for the existence. Okay, so back to the class. We are here. We can go here and say next. Oh, do I have to actually go through this lesson? I thought I did. Nope, guess not.
Project to identify whether you still need the resources you created. Resources left running can cost you money.
No, hit next. Reading some more stuff. I can go through an introduction to Azure, API management documentation, import an Azure function app as an API in Azure APIM. This is all good stuff. Probably a good idea to review it. I may have to at some point. But now, if I say go to next item.
Hello and welcome. In this module, you will have an opportunity to recap key topics and take a practice exam. Let's start by looking at the topics you covered. In this course, you learned how to create serverless applications in Microsoft Azure. You you first learned how to automate business processes with Microsoft Azure. Then you explored how to execute an Azure function with triggers. Next up, you chained Azure functions together using input and output bindings. And from there, you looked at how to modernize workflow with Azure functions. Next was how to monitor GitHub events by using a webhook with Azure functions. And finally, you explored how to enable automatic updates and build APIs. You saw how business processes can be automated by using Azure functions, which allow developers to host business logic that can be executed without managing or provisioning infrastructure. You learned how Microsoft Azure provides several different ways to host and execute code or workflows without using virtual machines. These included Azure Logic Apps, Microsoft Power Automate, Azure Web Jobs, and Azure Functions. You learned about these technologies and how to choose the right one for a given scenario. Next, you learned how business processes can be automated by using Azure Functions. This allows developers to host business logic that can be executed without managing or provisioning infrastructure.
No, it's possible.
These Azure functions can
This
be
is only a
executed
piece of what
via
you need for AZ204. Now that I'm looking at it, I feel like, is this really complete for all the stuff it covers?
various trigger types such as HTTP,
It's like a
timer, and block.
key element
This
to
was
being
useful in
for
order
Azure
to
developer,
determine
but
which trigger works best
I
for
may
your
have to
business
look.
needs. You saw that the power of Azure functions comes mainly from the integrations with a range of data sources and services. These are defined by using bindings. With bindings, developers can interact with other data sources and services. You then learned how to utilize bindings in Azure Functions in order to read and store data from Azure Cosmos DB and send messages to Azure Queue Storage. You also learned that there are two kinds of bindings you can use with functions, input bindings and output bindings. Next, you explored how Azure Functions can be used to modernize workflow. In particular, how to use durable functions to orchestrate a long-running workflow as a set of activities. To do this, you use the Azure Functions core tools to create and run functions on a development computer and publish them to Microsoft Azure. You explore durable functions and how you can create and run them on a development computer for testing before deployment to Azure. Finally, you also learned how to develop, test, and deploy an Azure function with Visual Studio. In the monitoring module, you saw how to monitor GitHub events by using a webhook with Azure Functions. Webhooks offer a lightweight mechanism for your app to be notified by another service when something of interest happens. You learned how to trigger an Azure function with a GitHub webhook and parse the payload for insights. Next, you created a function triggered by a webhook and set up a webhook for a GitHub repository. Then you triggered an Azure function with a GitHub event and learned how to secure webhook payloads with a secret. Finally, you explored how to enable automatic updates and build APIs. You examined how to update a web app's notification mechanism from polling to push-based architecture with SignalR Service, Azure Cosmos DB, and Azure Functions. You also learned how to combine multiple Azure Functions apps into a unified interface by importing them into a single Azure API management instance.
All right, let's see what the reading. Let's see. This is reading about the practice exam. The purpose of practice exams: test your knowledge. The AZ204 measures your ability to accomplish the following tactical tests. The main purpose. Let's see what it talks about. In this program, you will test your knowledge in a series of practice exams mapped to all the main topics covered in exam AZ204, developing solutions for Microsoft Azure. This will ensure that you are well prepared for certification success. You will prepare to pass the certification exam by taking practice tests with similar formats and content. The AZ204 exam measures your ability to follow the technical tasks, develop Azure Compute solutions, develop for Azure Storage, implement Azure Security. See, they didn't spend enough time on security. We did nothing related to security. So if it has a lot of that, that's going to be tough. I'm going to have to totally study that. Monitor, troubleshoot, and optimize Azure solutions. Connect to and consume Azure and third-party services. It will take about 30 minutes to complete the practice exam. You need to score 80% to pass. You can take the test a second time and you'll get different questions. The question formats are designed to be similar to the format of questions in the proctored exam. Course 1, create serverless applications. In this course, you have an opportunity to take the practice exam on create serverless applications and check your progress. You'll be able to use this opportunity to assess whether you would like to revisit any of the key topics before continuing to the next course. Is there more to this course? They keep going to the next course. What are you talking about? The next course? Is there another course? I think it means another class, like this is what this is, and then there's another course. Course 1, create serverless applications. You have to go take a course 2, and that's probably what I'm missing. Or whatever that is. The topics covered in the practice exam include evaluate Azure services, explain how Azure functions, use triggers, use bindings, orchestrate a long-running workflow, use the Azure Functions core tools, develop, test, trigger Azure Update Web, combine multiple Azure Functions apps into, I might be wrong. I may be more to this. So anyway, that's what this is. This last thing is actually the test. This is the course test. Attempts. 3, I can attempt this 3 every 8 hours. Attempts 3 every 8 hours. So I can do one now and another one now right after that, another one right after that, and then I have to wait for 8 hours. So in other words, I try it again tomorrow. So I wonder how many dozens of times it'll take me to get through it. It might take me 1, might take me 10, but it'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to torture you with my attempts. Hopefully I get it right in the first try, but I think. Who wants to watch me take a practice test? Anybody? 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 It is the answers, but it's not. Remember, they said if you try it again, you'll get different questions. So you might even want to take multiple times, even if you pass it the first time, just to get different questions and see if you can pass it again and again and again. And I would probably take it again and again and again and again until you feel like you've got this puppy down. So that would be my suggestion, and that's probably what I'm going to do. So it'll be one of those, keep this page linked, and just keep hitting it until I am a master of said class. And then we got course summary for the reading. I got module 1. These are all the different parts and bits that they talk about. Let's see here. I'm going to go here. And then I do need to take that. Can I go to the next item?
Congratulations, you have completed this course. You have now covered the key elements of the course, Create Serverless Applications. The topics covered were Automate Business Processes with Microsoft Azure, Execute an Azure Function with Triggers, Chain Azure Functions together using input and output bindings, Modernize Workflow with Azure Functions, Monitor GitHub events by using a webhook with Azure Functions, Enable automatic updates and build APIs, and a practice exam. Demonstrating knowledge of these topics is a requirement in the exam AZ204, Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure. You are one step further down the road to certification. In the next course, you will learn how to leverage communication services to create scalable, efficient solutions out of testable components. It will be the next step in gaining more insight into the world of an associate developer with Microsoft Azure and further preparing for the AZ204.
See, there is another course. Dang, I got to do another course. Such is the way of things. I'm not done yet. What to expect next? Well done. You're happy with him. Of course, in the next course, you'll learn about how course summary, module 1, choose a messaging model in Azure, implement message-based communication with workflows, Azure Service Bus, communicate between applications with Azure Queue Storage, enable reliable managing for big data applications using Azure Event Hubs, and practice exam. So there's only 5 modules in the next course. Yeah, maybe it's all part of the same thing. So I would probably have to go back and what is this? So yeah, I got to go back, do the test, and then yeah, that's it. I'll probably try to get this one down, and then I will have to try and do the next course, I guess. That's to come. I got to do some other things though. I mean, I got to do other development. I want to get this done. I am in process. It's going to take a little time. And eventually we'll get something going. we'll, we'll get the next task going. I want to do, I would like to do something more advanced in Python. I would like to also do more React, something more advanced in React. I'm having trouble finding classes for React, advanced React. So I will have to do something. I did see some in Coursera. Problem is, a lot of these things are old, and I'm trying to find things that are, on the current code set, because it's really hard to be trying to make things work off of the old stuff. So that makes things challenging. But I will. Maybe I got to figure out how to do multiple classes at once. Stop trying to do one at a time. 2 hours here, 1 hour there. Who knows? Maybe I'll make some progress. Until next time, I am going to take a break, and maybe I'll sign back on. And I don't know. I don't know what I'll be doing next. I do have to go help a friend out at 3, so that's a couple hours from now. And until next time, take it easy. Goodbye.